In my last video, I spoke about Synckey timecode generators and timecode in general. This video is about the latest Tentacle product, Trackee. It's a simple audio recorder with a SMPTE timecode generator built in and 32-bit float analog-digital converter. Voiceover for this review is recorded using Trackee and the included microphone. Most of the recorders available now, including professional, very expensive ones, record in 24-bit. What is so special about 32-bit floating point? The most interesting and useful parameter is their huge dynamic range. Thanks to the complicated maths of floating point, AD converters allow to write data above the so-called ceiling of 0 dBFS. 24-bit converters range is between -144 and 0 dBFS. 32-bit floating point offers a huge range between -758 and +770 dBFS. It's all academic, of course, because most microphones cover only a fraction of this range. Thanks to this, whatever the gain, theoretically we'll never clip our recordings or record them too quietly. How does it actually work? First demo recording is a 24-bit one with maximum gain, which will reduce to -3 dBFS. This is a 24-bit recording with a gain set to maximum. We'll try to reduce it to -3 dBFS. This is a 24-bit recording with a gain set to maximum. We'll try to reduce it to -3 dBFS. Unfortunately, in 24-bit, when the signal rips through the ceiling, there is nothing we can recover. Literally nothing, because above 0 dBFS, there is no data at all. Here we have 32-bit float recording with a maximum gain. We will again reduce it to -3 dBFS. This is a 32-bit recording using Trackee with a gain set to maximum. Let's reduce it to -3 dBFS. This is a 32-bit recording using Trackee with a gain set to maximum. Let's reduce it to -3 dBFS. As you can hear, thanks to floating point, we have managed to bring down everything from above the ceiling and recover it to usable level. This 32-bit float recording had a minimum gain set, and as a result we can neither see nor hear anything. Let's raise it to -3 dBFS. This is a 32-bit recording using Trackee with the gain set to minimum. Let's raise level to -3 dBFS. Okay, we can still hear some noise, but if it was 24-bit conversion, the noise level would be similar to the voice, making it useless. This noise here can be easily reduced. What is important when we work with 32-bit float recording is that we still need to use the right microphone techniques to record good quality audio. Every capsule has its maximum SPL, so the microphone signal can distort if used in the wrong way. Dynamic range of a converter won't help us here at all. Why would it? Like here when we produce something awful. We send it to the preamp for amplification, and then to AD converter for digitalization. This heap of digital excrement will still be awful, just made of ones and zeros. But don't worry, a properly used microphone together with a 32-bit float recorder can improve our workflow. Tentacle Trackee is capable of recording 24-bit, which makes files smaller and easier to work with. Basically, all top recorders use 24-bit anyway, so Tentacle set to this resolution, plus good miking technique, will give decent results. Trackee records only in 48 kHz, but as this is a broadcast standard, this limitation is something we shouldn't complain about. Okay, what is included in the box? One Trackee recorder, one body pack clip, lavalier microphone with a clip and a small dead cat for wind protection, some rubbers to color code, USB cables, and 2 zipped pouches, small and large. Every Trackee comes with a license for a Tentacle Sync Studio. which is a very simple and effective Mac-only timecode conversion and synchronization software. It will synchronize any SMPTE or LTC timecode material, and it costs €149 on the manufacturer's website. TrackKey is a small and lightweight device, visibly larger than SyncKey Generator. Unlike the Tascam Zoom F1, it has no display. Although you can turn recording on and off using a multifunctional switch, all settings are done using a smartphone app and Bluetooth connection. At the front, there are 5 LED lights that indicate recording level. Above the changeable rubber, there is also a status LED light. On top, there are 2 3.5mm mini jack sockets. The microphone input is secured with the standard thread used also in the Sennheiser body packs. Via this socket, you can also input the LTC timecode if necessary. Here is the headphone socket, which can be used for monitoring while recording or listening to recorded files. Because of the Zaxcom patent in the US, all TrackE recorders sold across the pond have unfortunately their headphone outputs deactivated during recording. Tentacle is currently working on a software update that will enable transmission of audio via Bluetooth. This won't turn TrackE into a proper body pack transmitter, obviously, but the ability to check recording levels would be a nice feature. On the left we have a microSD slot, and on the right there's a multifunction button. We can use it to turn TrackE as well as recording on and off. A USB socket to charge the battery, update the firmware, as well as to download files. On both Mac and PC, after hooking up via USB cable, TrackE is immediately recognized as a drive. MicroSD can live in the card slot permanently without being removed. Just like in all Tentacle products, TrackE has a built-in battery. It can be fully charged in 2 hours, and the battery lasts for about 10 hours. The battery will be fully replaceable. The manufacturer decided that all the settings and most of the operations will be done using the Tentacle Setup app. It is available for both iOS and Android devices. After app installation, we'll turn our TrackE on by sliding the multifunctional switch down. Click Add Device, and we'll see all Tentacle devices within the reach of Bluetooth. Each device comes with a generic German name. We have Gerhard here, and the name can obviously be changed later. Because I own 2 SyncKey timecode generators, they are already here in the list. We can see the most important status info here, like generating timecode, battery charge level, a Bluetooth indicator, and the memory card installed. After we get in, we can see more parameters. Level indicators. My TrackE has a microphone hooked up, so we can immediately see the waveform. Below there's a recording gain and high-pass filter. Depending on your workflow, you can reduce low frequencies when you're recording, but I personally prefer to do it in post. Plug-in power stays on when you use lavalier microphones. And now recording parameters. You can choose between 32-bit float or 24-bit. Here we can set the brightness of the built-in LED. We can also choose whether to leave on or turn off LED lights during recording. It's useful when we don't want excessive blinking or lights in our video. User Switch assignment is where we can choose whether we want to alert people who will wear it to be able to turn the recording on or off. Below we can change the name and further also format the memory card. To prevent accidental data loss, we have to hold it a bit longer until it will let us format our microSD. Okay, let's go back to the recording and set the gain. In 32-bit float it isn't that important, but to be on the safe side, let's set it somewhere in the middle. In monitoring mode, the waveform is black, but when we start recording, it turns red. After going back to the devices list, we can see all the basic info and see if it records or not. Let's turn one of my TC generators on. After jamming with TrackKey, they both generate the same frame-accurate timecode, which will help in editing later. Tentacle TrackKey is a 32-bit float recorder, which makes it different from other affordable recorders, Tascam DR10 and Zoom F1. Its only competitor as of April 2021 is another 32-bit recorder, Zoom F2. What was important to me is its timecode generating ability. Thanks to SMPTE timecode embedded in TrackKey recordings, all audio and video files can be easily synchronized in post. Small body pack recorders have been used in media production for years. They come handy when, for technical and sometimes budget reasons, we cannot use wireless microphones. In high-budget film and TV productions, we use Zaxcom and Lectrosonics time-coded body pack recorders, but those are very expensive. In TrackKey, we cannot monitor sound wirelessly, yet, but so far the waveform and recording levels sent via Bluetooth seem to be good enough. I've tested TrackE with my small ENG/location soundback too. Dialogue Mix from my MixPre 10 was recording for the whole day via microphone input. The whole idea was to have a time-coded backup recording in case of a memory card failure or me forgetting to press the record button. I can't say it was ideal. There is a quality difference between wave files from TrackKey and Sound Devices recorder, but time-coded dialogue after some processing could save the day. I've tested TrackKey as a backup for wireless body packs too. The microphone is hooked up to the Tentacle. It records audio and via the headphone output, signal goes to the wireless transmitter and then back to the receiver. It might be useful when in large cities, centers or crowded venues we experience RF interferences, dropouts, etc. Output TRS socket isn't secured with a locking mechanism, thread or a clamp. When push comes to shove, we can obviously use some gaffer tape, but it is a bit of a bummer. Included microphone is decent, but it's a bit like a kit lens in our new camera. We usually buy something sharp and faster straight away. I'd like to compare the kit mic to my DPA 4060 professional grade lavalier microphone. Here it is, straight from TrackKey without any processing. This is a 32-bit recording using TrackKey and a kit microphone. Lavalier is on my chest about 1 foot from my mouth. Gain is set halfway. This is a 32-bit recording using a DPA 4060 microphone. Lavalier is on my chest about 1 foot from my mouth. Gain is set halfway. Same recordings after correcting levels to -3 dBFS and light processing with Isotope RS Spectral denoise plugin. This is a 32-bit recording using TrackKey and a kit microphone. Lavalier is on my chest about 1 foot from my mouth. Gain is set halfway. This is a 32-bit recording using a DPA 4060 microphone. Lavalier is on my chest about 1 foot from my mouth. Gain is set halfway. It's hard to think of any serious drawbacks of TrackKey. Let's start with features that are a combination of both pros and cons. Plastic housing. TrackKey is relatively new, so we must wait few more years for long-term users' feedback. Material used seems solid enough and, well, thanks to it, it is very lightweight. Built-in battery. It would be great to be able to swap the battery during the day, but thanks to it being built in, TrackKey is more compact. Look at most phones and tablets nowadays. TrackKey can be easily opened by its owner and the battery replaced with a new one. The output socket is not secured. Well, theoretically it's a headphone output, so why should it be? It would be nice to use it as backup with wireless TX, but in the US it is impossible anyway. No display. I have to be honest and say it's a complaint I've heard on YouTube, but I don't share this view. I got used to monitoring my Tentacle devices with an app, and the lack of LCD screen doesn't really bother me. There are many more pros. 32-bit floating point analog digital converter. Timecode generator, which is part of Tentacle environment. Good quality sound. It isn't noise-free, mind you, but the noise itself is constant in its structure and therefore easy to deal with in post. advanced Bluetooth monitoring via Android and iOS apps. Tentacle Track is a small, lightweight and smart recorder. Is it an absolute must-have for vloggers, sound recordists or videographers? Not necessarily, but for me it's 32-bit float converter, Bluetooth monitoring and a good timecode generator are main selling points. You will definitely know when you need one. I do. Thanks for watching.